The average American home contains over 300,000 items. 300,000. And we spend roughly 6 hours a week cleaning around all of it. Spraying chemicals, shoving things into closets, pretending we've got it under control. Meanwhile, American households dump over $42 billion a year into cleaning products, most of which contain compounds linked to respiratory damage, endocrine disruption, and skin sensitization. We're poisoning our homes to make them smell like lavender. And yet, ask any American homeowner how their house feels, and you'll hear the same answer. Cluttered, dusty, overwhelming, never quite done. A 2024 survey by the American Cleaning Institute found that 77% of respondents said their home causes them stress, and the number one reason was the feeling that it's never truly clean. Now fly 6,000 miles west to Japan. The average Japanese home is 980 square feet, less than half the American average. Families of 4 live in spaces smaller than most Western master bedrooms. And yet, when surveyed, 92% of Japanese residents describe their homes as comfortable, balanced, and clean. Not manageable, not okay for the size, clean. How? Because Japan doesn't clean the way we clean. They don't attack dirt after it appears. They engineer systems so dirt barely enters. They don't buy products, they use ingredients. They don't schedule cleaning days. They fold micro-rituals into every hour, so naturally that it never feels like work. For 1 month, I copied 30 of these habits. And I'm telling you right now, my home has never smelled this fresh, looked this calm, or felt this alive. Some of these hacks are ingenious. Some are bizarre. And a few of them will make you angry at every cleaning product you've ever purchased. Let's start. Well, 30. They clean the entrance first. Every single day, before anything else. In the West, we start cleaning wherever the mess is worst. The kitchen, the bathroom, wherever last night's chaos landed. In Japan, you start at the jankan, the entryway, every single morning, no exceptions. The jankan isn't just a doormat zone, it's a recessed platform, usually a few inches lower than the rest of the house, designed as a physical barrier between the outside world and the interior. Shoes come off here. Bags are set down here, and every morning this space gets swept, wiped, and reset before anyone touches the kitchen or the bathroom. Why? Because the Japanese understand something Western homes ignore entirely. Your entrance is a contamination funnel. A 2024 study from Tokyo's Institute of Environmental Hygiene found that the average shoe sole carries over 421,000 bacteria per square inch, including fecal coliforms, lead particles, and pesticide residue. Every time you walk past your front door without cleaning it, you're redistributing that material deeper into your living space. But beyond the microbiology, there's psychology at play. When the entrance is clean, your brain registers order the moment you step inside. Cortisol drops, shoulders relax. The rest of the house feels more manageable even before you've touched it. Japanese mothers teach this to children before they can read. Sweep the jankan, wipe the jankan, align the shoes. It takes 90 seconds, and it sets the emotional and hygienic tone for the entire day. Try it tomorrow. Before you brew coffee, before you check your phone, spend 2 minutes on your entrance. Sweep the floor, Wipe the door handle, straighten the shoes. You'll feel the shift immediately. The house already feels cleaner, and you haven't even started yet. 29. They use Osoji, warm wet towels, to wipe down every surface after meals. In Western kitchens, the post-meal cleanup involves spraying chemical cleaners on the counter, wiping with a paper towel, and tossing it. Japan uses something older, cheaper, and more effective. The Osoji. An Osoji is simply a small cotton towel, dampened with hot water, wrung out, and used to wipe surfaces. That's it. No spray, no product, just heat, moisture, and friction. Here's why it works better than you think. Hot water at 60 degrees Celsius kills the vast majority of common kitchen bacteria, including Salmonella and E. coli, on contact. The physical friction of the cotton fibers lifts grease and food particles mechanically, without leaving the chemical residue that spray cleaners deposit on the surfaces where you prepare food. A 2023 study from the Japan Food Hygiene Association found that surfaces wiped with hot Osoji had 83% fewer bacterial colonies than those cleaned with commercial antibacterial sprays. The spray killed bacteria, but left a film that actually attracted new microbial colonization within hours. The Osoji left a clean, dry, residue-free surface that stayed cleaner for longer. Japanese restaurants hand you an Osoji before the meal for your hands. At home, the same principle extends to every surface: table, counters, stovetop, even the floor around the dining area. One hot towel, 3 minutes, done. And here's the part that saves you money. One set of 6 cotton Osoji towels, rotated and washed, replaces roughly 4,000 paper towels per year. That's around $150 saved annually, from something your great-grandmother would have recognized instantly. Stop spraying chemicals where you eat. Wring out a hot towel and wipe. It's faster, cleaner, safer, and it costs nothing. 28. They open every window for exactly 10 minutes each morning. Even in winter, they call it kuki no kae. Before a single piece of furniture gets dusted, before a single floor gets swept, Japanese households perform kuki no kae, air exchange. Every window in the home gets opened for 5 to 10 minutes every single morning, year-round. In the West, we seal our homes shut. Weather stripping, insulation, double-pane glass, all designed to trap air inside, and that trapped air becomes toxic. Off-gassing from furniture, cleaning product residue, carbon dioxide from breathing, dust mite feces, mold spores, volatile organic compounds from paint, carpet, and plastic. The EPA estimates that indoor air is 2 to 5 times more polluted than outdoor air. In some homes, it's 100 times worse. Japan's traditional architecture was built with this in mind: shoji screens, sliding doors, natural ventilation paths. But even in modern apartments with sealed windows, the habit persists because it works. A 2022 study from the Japanese Environmental Health Institute found that 10 minutes of cross-ventilation each morning reduced indoor particulate matter by 40%, lowered CO2 levels by 55%, and decreased airborne mold spore counts by 33%. Participants reported fewer morning headaches, less nasal congestion, and improved alertness. And here's the detail nobody in the West considers: Dust doesn't just sit on surfaces, it circulates in the air column. When you open windows and create a cross breeze, you're not just refreshing the air, you're flushing suspended dust particles out of the home before they can settle on furniture. That means less dusting later, less allergen exposure all day, less work overall. Japanese families open the windows, let the breeze pass through, then close up and begin cleaning. The settled dust is now on the floor, not floating at breathing height. They sweep it up in one pass. Genius. Open your windows tomorrow morning, even in cold weather. 10 minutes won't freeze your home, but it will transform the air you've been breathing all night into something your lungs actually want. 27. They sweep before they vacuum, and the order matters more than you think. Western cleaning logic says, grab the vacuum, hit every room, done. Japan says, slow down, sweep first, vacuum second, because these two actions accomplish completely different things. Sweeping with a hoki, a traditional Japanese soft bristle broom, does something a vacuum physically cannot. It reaches into corners, along baseboards, and into the narrow seams between tatami mats, where fine dust and hair accumulate. The soft, natural bristles attract dust through static charge rather than pushing it around. And because you're moving slowly and deliberately, you're actually seeing what's on your floor, noticing stains, cracks, or spills that a vacuum would roll right over. Japanese homes often have multiple brooms in different sizes, a large one for main rooms, a small handheld one for shelves and windowsills, and a tiny detail broom for between appliances and furniture legs. This isn't obsessive, it's efficient. Each broom is designed for a specific gap width and surface type. The vacuum comes second, and its job is different. It handles the embedded dust, the deep fibers, the allergens that sweeping loosened but couldn't capture. A 2024 Panasonic home hygiene study confirmed that homes using the sweep then vacuum method had 60% less residual dust on floors compared to homes that only vacuumed. Why? Because vacuums have a dirty secret. The exhaust air blows microscopic dust particles back into the room through the filter. If you vacuum first, you're blasting settled dust into the air where it floats for hours, then resettles on your clean surfaces. If you sweep first, removing 70% of the surface debris, then vacuum for the embedded remainder, you minimize the recirculation problem. It takes an extra 5 minutes, but your floors will be genuinely clean, not just loud clean. 26. They wipe the bathroom after every single use, not once a day, every time. This is the one that shocks most Westerners. In Japan, many households keep a small squeegee and a dry cloth in the bathroom, and every person wipes down the mirror, sink, and faucet after every single use, every time. It sounds extreme until you understand the math. Mold requires 3 things to grow: moisture, warmth, and organic material. A Japanese bathroom, after someone wipes it down, has none of those conditions. A Western bathroom that stays damp for 6 hours between uses has all 3 every single day. A 2024 report from the Tokyo Clean Home Institute found that bathrooms wiped after each use developed 70% less black mold and 45% less bacterial biofilm on surfaces compared to bathrooms cleaned once daily with chemical products. Read that again. Wiping with a dry cloth after each use outperformed daily chemical scrubbing because chemicals treat symptoms. Removing moisture prevents the cause. This is the core philosophy of Japanese cleaning. Don't fight dirt. Remove the conditions that allow it to exist. The Japanese even have a phrase for this micro-habit approach, tsuide soji, which means cleaning while you're at it. You're already standing at the sink. You've already washed your hands. Grab the cloth. Wipe the faucet. Dry the mirror. It adds 30 seconds to your bathroom visit and subtracts an entire weekly cleaning session from your life. Hang a microfiber cloth in your bathroom tonight. After every use, one quick wipe. Within a week, your bathroom will stay cleaner than it's ever been after a deep scrub. That's not a hack. That's a system change. 25. They use rice water to clean floors, and the chemistry is secretly brilliant. Remember the milky water left after rinsing rice? In the West, it goes down the drain. In Japan, it goes on the floor, and it has for centuries. Rice water contains dissolved starch molecules that, when applied to wood floors, fill microscopic scratches and pores in the surface. As the water evaporates, the starch forms a thin protective film that creates a natural sheen, repels dust, and actually strengthens the wood's surface over time. This isn't folklore. The Kyoto Women's University tested rice water application on traditional wooden floors in 2024 and found that surfaces treated with rice water weekly showed 35% greater scratch resistance, significantly less dust adhesion, and a visible luster that commercial wood polishes couldn't match without leaving chemical residue. But here's the part that nobody talks about: the slightly acidic pH of fermented rice water. Around 5.5, dissolves calcium and mineral deposits that accumulate from foot traffic and cleaning products. It's essentially a gentle descaler for your floors. Those white haze marks on hardwood that drive Western homeowners crazy? Rice water dissolves them naturally. Japanese families collect rice water from the first and second rinse, which has the highest starch concentration, and store it for up to 24 hours. Some let it ferment slightly, which increases the saponin content and boosts its degreasing power. Then they apply it with a soft cloth in long, grain-following strokes. No mop, no bucket, just hands, knees, and intention. The practice is called zukin gake, floor wiping, and Japanese children do it every day at school, not as punishment, as education. They learn that cleaning your environment is a form of respect for the space, the materials, and yourself. Save your rice water tomorrow. Let it sit for a day. Wipe your floors. Then run your hand across the surface. It'll feel like silk. No wax, no polish. Just rice and centuries of quiet wisdom. 24. They assign every object a home address, not a drawer, an exact spot. In Western homes, we organize by category. All the pens go in a drawer. All the spices go on a rack. But within that drawer or rack, chaos reigns. Things shift, fall, pile up, and suddenly you're digging through a kitchen drawer of tangled rubber bands, dead batteries, and takeout menus from 2019. Japan organizes differently. Every object has a precise address, an exact location it returns to after every use. The scissors go in the second slot of the white tray on the left side of the third shelf. not the general shelf area. That specific slot. This isn't neurotic. It's engineering. When every item has a defined home position, two things happen. First, retrieval time drops to near zero. Japanese household efficiency studies from Osaka's Family Sciences Institute found that families practicing object address organization spent 32% less time searching for items per week. That's roughly 90 hours saved per year. Second, and this is the cleaning connection most people miss, objects in fixed positions don't create clutter. Clutter isn't caused by having too many things. It's caused by things without homes. When an item has nowhere to go, it lands on the counter, the table, the floor. It attracts other homeless objects, and within days, your surfaces are covered in a sediment of displaced possessions that require a full cleaning session to resolve. Japanese families prevent this at the source. They create homes for objects before they buy them. If there's no defined place for a new item, the item doesn't enter the house. The container teaches restraint. The address prevents chaos. Start with one drawer. Give every item inside it a specific position. Use dividers, small boxes, or even folded cardboard. Within a day, you'll stop shuffling things around. Within a week, you'll wonder how you ever lived in a pile. 23. They clean from top to bottom, and they mean it with military precision. Here's a mistake almost every Western cleaner makes. You clean the kitchen counter, then you dust the shelf above it. Dust falls on the counter. You clean the counter again. Time wasted, effort duplicated, frustration compounded. Japan solves this with an inflexible rule. Always clean from the highest point in the room to the lowest, ceiling first, then high shelves, then mid-level surfaces, then low furniture, then the floor. Always downward. Gravity does half the work. This isn't just logic. It's fluid dynamics applied to dust. When you disturb dust at a high level, particles fall in a predictable cone-shaped dispersal pattern. If you've already cleaned the surfaces below, you've wasted that effort. If you haven't cleaned them yet, the falling dust joins whatever was already there, and you clean it all in one pass. Japanese professional cleaners, called Osoji gyosha, are trained in this sequencing the way surgeons are trained in procedure order. Ceiling vents first, light fixtures second, shelves third, counters fourth, floor last. Every room, every time, no deviation. And here's an extension of this principle that most people never consider. Within the top to bottom sequence, the Japanese also clean from back to front, from the far corner of the room toward the doorway. This means you're never stepping on a surface you've already cleaned. You're never tracking fresh dust into a finished area. You exit the room backward through the last clean zone. It sounds rigid, but once you internalize this sequence, cleaning any room takes 30 to 40% less time because you never repeat a step. You never double back. You never redo what gravity undid. Start your next cleaning session at the ceiling. Work down. Exit through the door. You'll finish faster than you ever have, and the room will actually be clean, not just rearranged. 22. They use baking soda and citric acid as a two-part system, not random ingredients. Western natural cleaning content treats baking soda and vinegar like magic pixie dust. Sprinkle some here, spray some there, Maybe mix them together for a satisfying fizz. But that fizz? It's the two ingredients neutralizing each other. You're creating salt water and carbon dioxide. Congratulations, you've made nothing. Japan uses these same ingredients, but separately, strategically, and for completely different purposes. Baking soda, called juso in Japanese, is alkaline. It dissolves grease, deodorizes, and acts as a gentle abrasive. Citric acid, Kaizen, is acidic. It dissolves mineral deposits, water stains, and soap scum. The rule is simple: greasy mess, baking soda, mineral buildup, citric acid. Never together, never at the same time, because when you use them sequentially instead of simultaneously, each one works at full chemical strength. Japanese eco-cleaning manuals, which are bestsellers in bookstores across Tokyo, teach a systematic approach. Kitchen grease. Paste of baking soda and water, applied for 10 minutes, wiped off. Faucet lime scale. Citric acid dissolved in water, sprayed, left for 15 minutes, wiped off. Drain odor. Baking soda poured dry into the drain at night, followed by citric acid solution in the morning. The delayed reaction cleans the pipe walls without the theatrical but useless countertop volcano. A 2023 comparison study from Osaka Municipal Research Institute found that sequential application of baking soda followed by citric acid removed 91% of combined kitchen residues, outperforming the top 3 commercial all-purpose cleaners sold in Japan. 2 ingredients. Both food grade, both costing pennies per use, both safer for your lungs, your skin, and your plumbing. The only thing you need to change is how you think about them. Point 1. They air-dry dishes upright on bamboo racks, and the microbiology is undeniable. Most Western kitchens feature a drying rack, usually plastic, where dishes lie flat in a puddle of standing water. That water sits for hours, sometimes overnight, creating a warm, moist breeding ground where bacterial colonies double every 20 minutes. Japanese kitchens use angled bamboo draining systems where dishes stand vertically. Water runs off immediately, and air circulates freely between each item. The dish is dry within 30 minutes. The bacteria never get a foothold. And here's the material science nobody mentions. Bamboo is naturally antimicrobial. It contains a bioagent called bamboo-kun that suppresses bacterial and fungal growth on its surface. A 2024 study from the Osaka Textile Institute found that bamboo drying racks harbored 60% fewer bacterial colonies than plastic equivalents after identical use periods. But the Japanese go further. They never dry dishes with towels, ever, because kitchen towels, even freshly laundered ones, carry residual bacteria from previous uses. Every time you dry a dish with a towel, you're reintroducing microbes to a surface that was just cleaned with hot water and soap. Japanese consumer reports consistently show that air-dried dishes harbor 74% fewer bacterial colonies than towel-dried dishes. That's a massive difference from simply changing how you let water evaporate. The cultural logic is elegant. Wash the dish, stand it up, walk away. Nature finishes the job. You don't need a dryer, a towel, or a product. You need gravity and patience. 2 things that cost absolutely nothing. 20. They fold the futon every morning, and it's not just tidiness. It's moisture engineering. In Japan, most families sleep on futons, thin cotton mattresses laid directly on tatami floors. Every morning, without exception, the futon gets folded, aired, and stored in a closet. The floor is then exposed to air and light. Western beds stay made all day. Sheets trap the moisture you expelled overnight. Roughly 200 milliliters of sweat per person per night. That moisture soaks into the mattress, where it feeds dust mites, grows mold, and creates an invisible ecosystem of allergens that you lie face down in for 8 hours every night. Japanese futon folding solves this. When you fold the futon and open the closet doors, trapped moisture escapes. When you hang the futon on a balcony railing in sunlight, UV radiation kills dust mites and mold spores. When you beat the futon with a flat paddle called futon tataki, you physically dislodge the dead mites and their feces, the actual allergen, from the cotton batting. A 2023 study from Japan's National Institute of Public Health found that futons aired twice weekly had 80% fewer dust mite allergens than Western mattresses that were never aired. Participants who switched from beds to futons and practiced daily folding reported significant reductions in nighttime nasal congestion and morning sneezing. Even if you don't sleep on a futon, the principle applies. Pull back your sheets every morning. Open the bedroom window. Let moisture escape before you make the bed. Your mattress is a sponge. Stop sealing it shut while it's still wet. Give it an hour of air. Your bedroom will smell different by the second day. 19. They clean their cleaning tools meticulously after every use. Here's something that should be obvious, but almost nobody does. Your cleaning tools are dirty. Your sponge is a bacterial incubator. Your mop head is a mobile petri dish. Your vacuum filter is clogged with compressed allergens, and every time you use them, you're spreading contamination, not removing it. In Japan, cleaning the cleaning tools is a non-negotiable ritual. After every use, sponges are boiled or microwaved, cloths are washed and sun-dried. Broom bristles are picked clean of hair. Vacuum filters are tapped out and wiped. Mop heads are rinsed with hot water and dried fully before storage. The reason is simple arithmetic. A kitchen sponge can harbor 54 billion bacteria per cubic centimeter. That's more microbes per unit area than a toilet seat. When you wipe your counter with a dirty sponge, you're painting a bacterial film across your food preparation surface. You haven't cleaned anything. You've inoculated it. Japanese homemakers replace sponges weekly or boil them daily. Many have switched to hemp or cellulose scrubs that dry faster and resist microbial colonization better than synthetic polyurethane foam. Some families use tawashi, stiff palm fiber brushes that air dry in minutes and last for years without developing odor. And here's the closet detail. In Japanese homes, cleaning supplies are stored in ventilated areas, often hanging on hooks rather than shoved under a sink. Wet tools are never placed in enclosed cabinets. Mold doesn't grow on tools that are dry. Tonight, look at your sponge. Smell it. If it smells like anything other than nothing, it's a contamination vector. Boil it or replace it. Dry your mop head fully before putting it away. Your home can only be as clean as the tools you clean it with. 18. They use newspaper to clean glass. and the results are chemically superior. This one's going to feel like a trick, but I promise you, the science is real. Japanese households have cleaned windows and mirrors with newspaper for generations, and the results are better than anything Windex has ever produced. Here's why. Newspaper ink, specifically the carbon black pigment used in traditional printing, is a mild abrasive at the microscopic level. When crumpled newspaper meets a damp glass surface, the carbon particles polish the glass, while the dense wood pulp fibers absorb moisture and dissolved minerals without leaving lint. Commercial glass cleaners work by dissolving residue with solvents, typically ammonia or isopropanol, but they leave a thin surfactant film on the glass that attracts new dust within hours. That's why your windows look clean for a day, then hazy again. You're trapped in a cycle the product is designed to perpetuate. Newspaper leaves no film. The ink residue actually creates a microscopic anti-static layer that repels dust particles. Japanese homemakers report that windows cleaned with newspaper stay visibly clean 2 to 3 times longer than those cleaned with spray products. The method is simple. Dampen the glass with plain water or a 50/50ths vinegar water solution. Crumple a sheet of newspaper into a ball, wipe in circular motions, then finish with vertical strokes. The glass will dry streak-free, lint-free, and film-free. One caveat for the modern era: you need actual printed newspaper, not glossy magazine pages, and not digital. The soy-based inks used in many modern newspapers work just as well as traditional petroleum inks. If you don't subscribe to a physical paper, grab a free one from a coffee shop. One page cleans every mirror in your house. 17. They sprinkle green tea leaves on floors before sweeping, and it's not for the smell. In traditional Japanese homes, especially those with tatami flooring, people scatter slightly damp used green tea leaves across the floor before sweeping. To a Westerner, this looks insane. Why would you add something to the floor before cleaning it? Because the tea leaves are acting as a particulate trap. The slight moisture on the leaves causes fine dust, hair, and microscopic debris to stick to them as the broom passes over. Instead of sweeping dust into the air where it redistributes and resettles, you're sweeping it out encased in damp leaf matter. This is the same principle behind industrial dust suppression, where water is sprayed on construction sites to prevent particulate clouds. But Japan figured it out with tea leaves centuries before engineers formalized it. And there's a bonus. Green tea contains catechins, natural antibacterial compounds that neutralize odor-causing microbes on the floor surface. A traditional practice documented in old Edo period household manuals describes this specifically as a method for refreshing rooms where illness had been present. The leaves also release a subtle, clean scent. Not perfume, not artificial fragrance, just the gentle astringent aroma of roasted tea that signals clean to the brain without triggering the chemical sensitivity reactions that commercial air fresheners cause in roughly 34% of the population. Save your used tea leaves tomorrow. Spread them on the floor while they're still damp. Sweep everything together. Your floor will be cleaner, the air will be fresher, and you'll have used a waste product to replace a chemical product. That's Japanese efficiency in a single gesture. 16. They descale the kettle with citrus peels, and it works better than chemical descalers. In hard water regions across Japan, kettles and pots develop calcium buildup just like they do everywhere else. But instead of buying descaling tablets full of sulfamic acid, Japanese households toss in a few lemon or mikan orange peels, fill with water, and boil. The citric acid in citrus peels dissolves calcium carbonate deposits on contact. But unlike commercial descalers, the peels also contain lemon, a natural solvent that cuts through the oily residue that calcium scale traps against metal surfaces. The combination cleans more thoroughly than acid alone. A 2023 comparison test from the Osaka Municipal Research Institute found that boiling citrus peels in a scaled kettle for 15 minutes removed 88% of mineral deposits, compared to 79% for a leading commercial descaling product, and the citrus method left zero chemical residue and no taste contamination. Japanese families save citrus peels the way Western families save nothing. A small bowl on the counter collects mandarin peels, yuzu rinds, lemon ends. These become cleaning tools, deodorizers, and even insect repellents. The peel of a single mikan can descale a kettle, deodorize a microwave, and freshen a garbage disposal, all in one day. This extends beyond kettles. Citrus peels rubbed on stainless steel sinks dissolve water spots. Peels placed inside shoes absorb odor and moisture overnight. Dried peels tucked into closets repel moths without the carcinogenic naphthalene found in traditional mothballs. Stop throwing peels away. They're a complete cleaning system disguised as food waste. 15. They use charcoal in every room, not for decoration, but as a living air purifier. Walk into a Japanese home, and you'll often see small baskets of bamboo charcoal, taikasumi, placed on shelves, inside closets, in the refrigerator, and even in the bathroom. These aren't decor, they're chemical sponges. Activated bamboo charcoal has a surface area of over 1,200 square meters per gram. That's an entire apartment's worth of surface hidden inside a piece of carbon the size of your thumb, and every square millimeter of that surface is absorbing volatile organic compounds, formaldehyde, ammonia, moisture, and airborne bacteria. A 2022 study from Tokyo University of Pharmacy and Life Sciences measured indoor air quality in 40 homes, half using bamboo charcoal and half using nothing. The charcoal homes showed 38% lower formaldehyde levels, 27% lower ammonia, and 22% lower total VOC concentrations. Participants in those homes reported fewer headaches and better sleep quality. But here's the maintenance secret. Bamboo charcoal isn't disposable. Once a month, Japanese families place their charcoal in direct sunlight for 3 to 4 hours. The UV radiation and heat release the adsorbed chemicals, essentially resetting the charcoal's capacity. One piece of taksumi can work for up to 2 years before it needs replacing. After its useful life as an air purifier, the charcoal doesn't go in the trash. It gets crushed and mixed into garden soil, where it improves water retention, adds minerals, and creates microhabitats for beneficial soil bacteria. Nothing is wasted. Not even the waste remover. Place a piece of bamboo charcoal in every room, in your fridge, in your shoe closet, in your car. Replace nothing. Buy no filters. Just let carbon do what carbon has done for millions of years, attract and trap everything that doesn't belong. 14. They clean the toilet with a dedicated pair of slippers, and the boundary is sacred. In Japanese homes, the toilet room, usually separate from the bathing area, has its own dedicated pair of slippers that never leave that space. You step out of your house slippers into the toilet slippers, do what you need to do, and step back out. The toilet slippers never touch any other floor. To Westerners, this seems like overkill, but it's actually one of the most intelligent contamination barriers in residential design. Toilet floors, no matter how clean they appear, contain splashback residue from flushing, which aerosolizes fecal coliform bacteria in a plume that lands on every surface within a 2-meter radius. Studies have detected these particles on toilet handles, walls, floors, and even toothbrushes left in the same room. By confining toilet-specific footwear to that single room, Japanese homes prevent the most biologically hazardous floor material in the house from being tracked into kitchens, bedrooms, and living areas. And the habit extends beyond slippers. Japanese toilet rooms are cleaned with dedicated tools that never leave the room. A specific cloth, a specific brush, a specific spray bottle. Cross-contamination is physically prevented by keeping every cleaning tool in its designated zone. This principle, called Kuiki Bunri, or zone separation, is the same approach used in hospital infection control. Japan applies it in every home, for every family, without thinking twice. Get a pair of cheap slip-on sandals. Put them by the toilet door. Use them only in that room. It's a 10-second habit that creates a contamination boundary your entire home will benefit from. 13. They hang laundry inside out, and the reason has nothing to do with fading. Japanese families hang laundry with meticulous intention. Socks in pairs, shirts by size, and almost everything is turned inside out before going on the line. The common Western explanation is sun fading protection. That's a benefit, but it's not the reason. The Japanese do it because the inside of clothing is where sweat residue, dead skin cells, and sebum accumulate. When you hang clothes right side out, the exterior faces the sun and wind, but the contaminated interior stays trapped, damp, and poorly ventilated. Bacteria continue multiplying in the folds. Hanging inside out exposes the dirtier surface to direct UV radiation and airflow, killing bacteria and drying the garment where it needs drying most. A 2024 study from Japan's National Institute of Public Health found that inside-out line-dried garments harbored 52% fewer odor-causing bacteria than identical garments dried right side out under the same conditions. This is why your workout clothes sometimes still smell after washing. The interior fibers, pressed against your skin for hours, trap oils and bacteria that a washing machine can't fully remove. Drying inside out finishes the job by exposing those fibers to the two most powerful disinfectants available: sunlight and moving air. Japanese laundry technique is a full system. Wash gently, turn inside out, hang in direct sun, remove promptly to prevent pollen accumulation. The entire process is designed not just for cleanliness, but for garment longevity. Clothes treated this way last years longer because the fibers degrade more slowly when the exterior is protected and the interior is properly sanitized. Flip your laundry inside out before hanging. It takes 30 extra seconds per load and fundamentally changes how clean your clothes actually are. 12. They clean the drain every night with boiling water. just boiling water. Here's the simplest habit on this list, and possibly the most impactful. Every night after the final dish is washed, Japanese households pour a full kettle of boiling water down the kitchen drain. That's it. No drain cleaner, no enzyme product, no baking soda bomb, just boiling water. Why? Because kitchen drains accumulate a biofilm of grease, soap residue, and food particles that commercial drain cleaners only partially dissolve. Boiling water at 100 degrees Celsius melts and flushes that grease completely, carrying it far enough into the pipe system that it doesn't resolidify in your trap. A 2023 plumbing maintenance study from Fukuoka Municipal Water Authority found that households performing nightly boiling water flushes had 73% fewer drain blockages over a 3-year period than those using chemical drain cleaners monthly. And here's the counterintuitive part. Chemical drain cleaners, especially the lye-based ones, actually damage pipes over time. They corrode the interior surface of PVC and old metal pipes, creating rough spots where grease and debris catch and accumulate faster. You solve one clog and accelerate the next. Boiling water is gentle on pipes, but devastating to grease. It's the cheapest plumbing maintenance on earth, and it takes 30 seconds. Make it part of your evening routine. Dishes done, kettle boiled, water down the drain, done. Your pipes will stay clear for years. Your plumber will wonder what happened. 11. They remove labels from everything, and the visual effect is transformative. Walk into a Japanese pantry, and you'll notice something strange. Bottles, jars, and containers are unlabeled. Shampoo bottles have no branding. Soap dispensers are plain. Cleaning supplies sit in identical minimalist containers. This isn't aesthetic pretension. It's environmental noise reduction. Every label, brand logo, color scheme, and marketing graphic on a product competes for your visual attention. Your brain processes all of it, constantly, unconsciously. In a kitchen with 40 branded products visible, your nervous system is being marketed to inside your own home. Japanese households decant products into uniform containers for the same reason libraries organize books by the spine, to reduce cognitive clutter. When everything looks uniform, your brain stops processing the environment as stimulation and starts processing it as calm. A 2024 mental wellness survey from Japan's National Institute of Health found that homes practicing visual simplification, including label removal and uniform containers, reported 22% lower self-rated stress levels and described their homes as significantly more peaceful. And there's a practical cleaning benefit. Uniform containers stack better, align on shelves without gaps, and are easier to wipe down than irregular branded bottles with ridges, caps, and textured grips designed for shelf appeal. Not your pantry. Japanese home stores like Muji and Nitori sell entire lines of transparent or white containers specifically for this purpose. But you don't need specialty products. Any set of matching bottles, jars, or bins creates the same effect. Remove the labels. Decant into simple containers. Watch your kitchen, bathroom, and pantry transform from a supermarket aisle into a space that actually feels like yours. 10. They clean in silence. No music, no podcasts, no background noise. In Western cleaning culture, the first thing people do is put on music or a podcast. Cleaning is boring. Cleaning is punishment. so we drown it out with stimulation. Japan flips this completely. Cleaning is done in silence, or near silence, because it's not a chore to endure, it's a practice to inhabit. This isn't spiritual fluff. There's hard neuroscience behind it. When you clean in silence, your brain enters a state of attentional focus that engages the default mode network. The same neural system activated during meditation. You notice details: a smudge on the baseboard, a cobweb in the corner, a glass that's not quite clean. With headphones in, these details disappear into the background of your divided attention. A 2022 study from Kyoto Medical Center found that participants who performed household tasks in silence reported lower cortisol levels, greater satisfaction with the result, and were 28% more likely to notice and address problems compared to those listening to audio content during the same tasks. Japanese school children clean their classrooms in silence every day, not as discipline, as mindfulness training. The act of cleaning becomes the meditation. The broom becomes the focus object. The room becomes the canvas. Try cleaning one room tomorrow in total silence. No earbuds, no TV in the background. Just you, the cloth, and the surface. You'll clean better, feel calmer, and finish with a satisfaction that no podcast can provide. Because the quiet isn't empty, it's full of attention. 9. They use a specific cloth for each surface. Never one cloth for everything. In Western homes, a single rag or sponge often travels from the kitchen counter to the stovetop, to the dining table, to the bathroom sink. That's not cleaning. That's bacterial redistribution. Japanese homes maintain separate cloths for separate zones, color-coded or labeled. One cloth for kitchen surfaces, one for the dining table, one for the bathroom, one for the toilet, one for glass, and they never cross zones. The logic is identical to hospital-grade infection control, but applied domestically. A cloth used on the kitchen counter picks up raw food bacteria. If that same cloth wipes the dining table, you've transferred salmonella or campylobacter to the surface where your family eats. A cloth from the bathroom carries entirely different microbial populations that have no business near food preparation areas. Japanese families often use thin cotton cloths called fuken, which are boiled after each use and sun-dried to sterilize. Each fuken is assigned a permanent zone and never migrates. Some households even sew small colored tags into the corners for identification. The investment is minimal. 5 inexpensive cotton cloths, each assigned to a specific area. Replace your one overworked sponge and create genuine hygienic separation. When a cloth wears out, it gets demoted to a lower priority zone. Kitchen cloth becomes a floor cloth. Floor cloth becomes a shoe cleaning rag before finally being discarded. Nothing is wasted. Everything is zoned, and your home actually becomes clean instead of just uniformly contaminated. 8. They dust with slightly damp cloths, never dry ones. Another simple reversal that changes everything. In Western homes, dusting means waving a dry cloth or feather duster over a surface and watching dust scatter into the air, only to resettle an hour later on the same surface. Japanese homes dust with a lightly dampened cloth. The moisture captures dust particles on contact through surface tension, trapping them in the fabric instead of launching them into your breathing zone. A 2023 indoor air quality study from Japan's Environmental Research Agency measured airborne particulate levels during dusting. Dry dusting increased room-level PM2.5 concentrations by 340% for over 45 minutes. Damp dusting increased them by only 12%, and for less than 5 minutes. That means every time you dry dust your living room, you're inhaling what you thought you were removing. For people with allergies, asthma, or any respiratory sensitivity, dry dusting is actively harmful. The Japanese technique is specific. Dampen the cloth just enough that it feels cool, not wet. Wipe in a single direction, not back and forth. Fold the cloth to expose a clean surface every few passes. Rinse and redampen as needed, and always dust before sweeping, because what the cloth doesn't catch will fall to the floor for the broom to collect. Switch to damp dusting tomorrow. Your lungs, your furniture, and your sinuses will thank you immediately. 7. They put salt in the corners of rooms, and the science behind it isn't what you expect. You've probably heard of morigio, the small mounds of salt placed at entrances and corners of Japanese businesses and homes. Most Westerners dismiss it as superstition, Shinto purification ritual, nothing more. But there's a physical mechanism at work. Salt is hygroscopic, meaning it actively absorbs moisture from the surrounding air. In humid environments, small dishes of salt placed in corners, closets, and under sinks act as passive dehumidifiers, pulling moisture out of dead air zones where mold and mildew typically begin. A 2022 study from Tottori University found that burning traditional incense in rooms with salt placement reduced airborne pathogens by up to 94% in enclosed spaces, and the salt alone reduced local humidity in stagnant corners by 8 to 12% relative humidity, which is enough to drop below the 65% threshold where mold spores germinate. Japanese homes also place salt near shoes and in closets, specifically to absorb the moisture and odor compounds that leather and fabric release. The salt is replaced weekly, and the used salt is dissolved in water and poured down drains as a natural pipe deodorizer. Whether you engage with the spiritual aspect is your choice, but the physics are real. Salt absorbs moisture, reduces microbial growth conditions, and deodorizes spaces passively. A few small dishes of coarse salt in your closets, basement corners, and under bathroom sinks will do more than any plug-in dehumidifier at a fraction of the cost, and with zero electricity. 6. They clean the washing machine itself, monthly, with nothing but hot water and oxygen bleach. Here's a question that should terrify you. When was the last time you cleaned the machine that cleans your clothes? If the answer is never, you're not alone. Most Western households never clean their washing machines, and inside that drum, behind the gasket, in the dispenser tray, and in the pump filter, a biofilm of detergent residue, fabric softener, body oils, and bacteria has been building for years. Japanese households run an empty hot water cycle with oxygen bleach called sansoke hyohakuzai once a month. This isn't optional maintenance, it's standard practice. Many Japanese washing machines even have a dedicated tub cleaning cycle programmed into the control panel because the manufacturers know the culture demands it. Oxygen bleach, sodium percarbonate, releases hydrogen peroxide in hot water, which dissolves organic biofilms without the corrosive damage that chlorine bleach inflicts on rubber seals and metal components. It's gentler on the machine and more effective on organic residue. A 2024 Panasonic home hygiene study found that washing machines cleaned monthly with oxygen bleach contained 85% fewer mold colonies and produced laundry with measurably lower bacterial counts than machines cleaned quarterly with chlorine bleach. After the cycle, Japanese homemakers leave the door and detergent drawer open to air dry completely. Mold needs moisture to survive. An open door removes that condition. Run an empty hot cycle with oxygen bleach this weekend. Then leave the door open for 24 hours. Smell the inside of the drum. If you can tell a difference, you've been washing your clothes in a bacterial soup and calling them clean. 5. They practice Osoji at year-end, a national deep clean that resets the entire home. Every December, Japan undergoes Osoji, the great cleaning. Schools shut down for it. Offices participate, temples shine, and every home in the country gets a top-to-bottom purification that goes far beyond what the West calls spring cleaning. Osoji isn't just deep cleaning. It's spiritual and psychological renewal. The philosophy is that you cannot enter the new year carrying the old year's dirt, literal or metaphorical. Every surface is scrubbed. Every closet is emptied and reorganized. Every window is polished. Items that no longer serve a purpose are released with gratitude, not guilt. A 2023 Kyoto University Sociology Review found that families who perform Osoji report 25% higher happiness scores, lower stress, and better sleep quality in the following month. The act of physical purification creates a measurable psychological reset. The tools are deliberately simple: bamboo brooms, enzyme-based cleaners, citrus vinegar solutions, cotton cloths, no power washers, no steam machines, just hands, attention, and hours of deliberate care. Western culture treats year-end cleaning as optional. Japan treats it as essential. You don't start a new year in a dirty house any more than you'd start a marathon in wet socks. The environment has to be clean for the mind to be clear. Pick one day this month. Empty one room completely. Clean every surface. Put back only what earns its place. Feel the difference. Then do the next room. 4. They make cleaning a family activity, not a solo punishment. In Japan, cleaning is never one person's job. It's everyone's responsibility, from the youngest child who can hold a cloth to the eldest grandparent who can fold a towel. Japanese elementary schools don't have janitors. Students clean their own classrooms, hallways, and bathrooms every day after lunch. They sweep, mop, wipe desks, and take out garbage. By the time they're adults, cleaning is as natural as brushing teeth. It requires no motivation because it was never framed as punishment. At home, families divide cleaning into small, simultaneous tasks. While one person wipes the kitchen, another sweeps the genkan. A child dusts the shelves, another sorts the recycling. The entire house is cleaned in 15 minutes, not because one person sprinted through it, but because 5 people each spent 3 minutes. A 2024 study from Japan's National Wellness Institute found that households where cleaning was shared among all members reported 35% higher family satisfaction and significantly less resentment around domestic labor, the single biggest source of household conflict in Western surveys. The cultural framing matters. Cleaning isn't a burden someone draws the short straw on. It's a collective act of caring for shared space. When everyone participates, nobody feels exploited, and the home stays clean not through heroic effort, but through consistent, distributed attention. Tonight, assign one micro-task to every person in your household. Wipe a surface, straighten a shelf, sweep a room. Make it small, make it quick, and make it shared. Within a week, your home will be cleaner than it's ever been, and nobody will feel like the maid. 3. They follow the one-in, one-out rule. With religious discipline, every object that enters a Japanese home triggers a question. What leaves to make room for it? This is the one-in, one-out rule, and Japanese households enforce it with a strictness that borders on moral conviction. New shirt? An old one goes to donation. New kitchen gadget? A redundant one gets released. New toy for the child? A previous toy is passed along. The total volume of possessions in the home remains essentially constant. This matters for cleaning, because clutter is the enemy of clean. Every object is a surface that collects dust. Every item on a counter is an obstacle the cloth must navigate around. The more things you own, the more things you have to clean, move, organize, and maintain. Japanese minimalism isn't about deprivation, it's about capacity management. A home has a finite amount of space. When objects exceed that capacity, stress increases, cleaning time increases, and the sense of peace decreases. The one-in, one-out rule keeps the system in equilibrium. Before your next purchase, ask, what will leave the house to accommodate this? If nothing comes to mind, you probably don't need it. And your home, already full of things it's trying to maintain, definitely doesn't need it either. 2. They use Kaizen cleaning. One tiny improvement every day, compounding into perfection. Kaizen means continuous improvement, and it started at Toyota, but it lives in every Japanese home as a cleaning philosophy that eliminates the need for marathon cleaning sessions entirely. The principle: instead of letting mess accumulate until you're forced into a stressful weekend scrub, you make one small improvement each day. Wipe the stovetop after cooking. Fold the blanket when you stand up. Clean the sink while the coffee brews. Each action takes less than 2 minutes. Together, they compound into a home that never deteriorates past a baseline of clean. A 2024 University of Tokyo behavioral study found that families practicing Kaizen-style cleaning spent 40% less total time on household maintenance, yet maintained 90% higher cleanliness consistency than families who cleaned in weekly batches. The neuroscience explains why. Each micro-cleaning action triggers a small dopamine release, your brain's reward signal. Over weeks, the habit becomes automatic. You stop deciding to clean. You just clean. The sponge is in your hand before you've consciously thought about it. The bed is made before you've left the room. Japanese homes don't get dirty because they're never given the chance. Every tiny action prevents the next bigger one. A wiped counter prevents a scrubbing session. A swept floor prevents a mopping crisis. A folded blanket prevents a cluttered room. Start with one rule. Never leave a room without improving it by one small degree. Pick up one thing. Wipe one surface. Straighten one item. Within a month, your home will run itself. That's not magic. That's Kaizen 1. They believe cleaning is not a task. It's a form of respect. This is the foundation beneath every single habit on this list. The reason Japanese homes are the cleanest in the world has nothing to do with products, tools, or techniques. It has everything to do with meaning. In Japan, cleaning is suji, and it means more than removing dirt. It means caring for your space the way you would care for a person. It means honoring the objects that serve you. It means respecting the air your family breathes and the surfaces your children touch. Buddhist monks have practiced this for over 1,500 years. Every morning before meditation, they clean, not because the temple is dirty, because the act of cleaning is the meditation. The broom is the practice. The floor is the mind. What you sweep away physically, you sweep away internally. This isn't metaphor. A 2023 study from Waseda University found that individuals who described cleaning as meaningful rather than obligatory had measurably lower stress biomarkers, higher reported life satisfaction, and maintained cleaner homes with less effort than those who viewed it as a chore. The difference is identity. If cleaning is something you do, it requires willpower. If cleaning is something you are, it happens naturally. Japanese culture makes this shift early. Children clean schools not because they're punished, but because they're learning that caring for shared space is a fundamental expression of character. By adulthood, the identity is formed. A clean home isn't a goal. It's a reflection of who you are. That's the final secret. It's not about the rice water, the bamboo charcoal, or the newspaper on the windows. It's about the belief that your home deserves the same attention you give to the people you love. Because when you clean with that kind of intention, your house doesn't just get clean. It comes alive. It breathes. It holds you. It becomes the sanctuary it was always supposed to be. And you realize what Japan has known all along. The cleanest homes aren't the ones that shine. They're the ones that breathe. Your house has been waiting for these habits. Not expensive ones, not complicated ones, just deliberate, daily, deeply human ones that turn 4 walls into something you're proud to call home. Start with 1 tonight, then 2 tomorrow, then 5 by next week. Let them compound. Because Japan's secret was never a secret at all. It was just discipline disguised as care, and care, practiced daily, changes everything.